Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the blog here today. A little bit of, well, sounds like Atari, Nintendo music, right? That's Wavy's music. You probably recognize that from our little weather bot there that popped in just a second ago. As always, we'll pop into the bottom of the screen anytime there's any kind of alert, which, by the way, is on our 24-hour streaming channel. Hopefully, you guys are watching that. There's so much good stuff on there. And again, it's live 24/7. Our weathercast, if we're live on TV, we interrupt that channel so you don't miss anything if we're on as well. And the alerts will include even traffic, including traffic cameras. We have school closings that will eventually be on there when we get into the snow season, which is not that far away. And any type of, obviously, weather alert, even alerts that are not technically severe will show up to help you out. So we're trying to make that channel as advanced as possible for you guys, and Wavy is a big part of carrying a lot of that work for us, which is nice. And always nice to have, a little mascot, right? So I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to the blog. My voice is trying to hang in there. I did a lot of talking yesterday, so I apologize if it starts to get, just usually is pretty monotone. I'm not exactly one that's popular in the chorus, right? So anyway, I hope I can hang in there for you guys. And if I'm not making any sense, always let me know. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the blog today. It's not storm talk, so that's good, right? That's a big plus. Or is it? As we look down the road, we are not seeing much in the way of rain coming our way. Now, this is typically our driest time of the year anyway, but I do think the drought is going to become a little more of a focal point into the coming days. More on that in a second. Quick rundown, of course, on our countdown, 33 days until we get to the autumnal equinox. As we are, most of you, especially if you're here on the blog, you're fully aware that you don't have to wait 33 days. You only have to wait about 4 more. And you will get a nice little taste of it coming our way. Even though today is actually a lot easier to deal with than what yesterday was. The clouds are a big part of that, but certainly humidity has been taken down a few notches. So even today, it's not bad. Gloomy outside. Look at Starlight, Indiana, Huber's Orchard and Winery. Yep, it is overcast right now, and we will see that overcast sky build to the south and southwest as we hit the remainder of the day today. So not a lot of sun today, guys, which is good if you are tired of the real intense sun and heat. Today will be a nice little break from that. Hope you guys are doing well on social. Let me kind of scan through real quick. I saw Carrie, you're first today on YouTube. Congrats. You made it. Welcome aboard. Hello to Ryan and Albert. Let's see who else we got here today. Blue, Jason Hamilton. Hello, Kathy. Hello, Kickin' All right. I don't know if I've seen you before, Kickin'. Hello to ZK, as always. So Sean's on Facebook. Tracy's on as well. Michelle and Joel. Hi, Joel. And Tim, I wanted the wavy music to be my ringtone. Yeah, you never know. You never know. Maybe we'll work on that. It does give me flashbacks to Atari 5200 and the first Nintendo system. The true Nintendo, in my opinion. All right, type 3 plus 7. 3 plus 7 if you got rain last night from the showers and thunderstorms. I'm hoping that will include just about everyone. Hey, Dallas, you met Ryan Hoke in Tawana yesterday. Well, congratulations. Yeah, I got out there a little late, so I'm glad you got a chance to meet. Always nice to see everybody, and I'm glad you brought that up, Dallas, because, yeah, I got to see a lot of familiar faces. Even saw my friend's dad that I haven't seen since I was 8 years old. Recognized him instantly. But it was pretty wild, kind of a flashback there. But that usually is the case, right? You run into people you haven't seen in a long time. So always kind of cool. And to put faces to the blog, too. Some of you that have been on here for a while have a chance to meet before. So that's always a pleasant sight. And familiar ones that I see every year, which if I didn't see you guys, I would be worried. All right, a lot of 3 plus 7s, a lot of 3 plus 7s. Everyone's good. All right, love it. Love it. We're going to cover that right now, in fact, about what happened with the storms last night. Anytime you get into a very hot scenario, we made it to 95 yesterday, and as of now, that looks to be the hottest I can see that we'll have for the rest of the year. I don't think we're done with 90, but I don't know if we'll get up to 95 again. It depends really on, again, the drought is going to be key on how that evolves, and I do think we'll see at least a low-end drought as we typically do anyway, into September and October. Not that unusual, to be honest. It's the severe drought you want to avoid, and I don't see it get into a severe drought status, but I think a low-end drought, I think, will take place, but that can certainly impact still some very warm days before you get into a much lower sun angle. Anyway, I digress. 95 yesterday, that hot, humid scenario, perfect for downburst winds, not necessarily, the Boeing segments and squall lines that come flying through. It was all really boundary based on outflows that were coming in and downburst winds. I had a wind gust over 30 miles per hour for a while at my house, and there was some tree damage not far away. Some folks reporting lightning strikes hitting their homes as well. So it was a little wicked there. Nothing to the severe limits, 58 miles per hour, but it's been so quiet that sometimes storms like last night, especially summer storms, tend to be much more intense. They have much more of a violent field of lightning, much more dramatic cloud-to-ground lightning type of scenario. So they get your attention a little more, especially after a quiet, sunny, hot day. It's just a stark contrast. So they get a lot of attention when they happen. But they gave us some beneficial rain. Now, I loved looking at this map today when I saw it on the rainfall amounts that we picked up because, as I've been alluding to, we're going to get dry. So this has got to really hold us for at least a week, maybe 2 weeks. We've got to soak up all of that rain we got. But there are some of you, I'm fully aware, that did not get the rain. And you could tell that was part of Greene, Taylor, Adair, and Marion. You were skipped in many cases across your counties, and you are actually some of the driest counties we've got in Wave Country. So I was hopeful you guys would get something out of this, but you still could get some showers today, but it will not be heavy amounts, high QPF moisture with this. So it's going to be tough to get rainfall amounts that would amount to anything that would make a huge difference. But some spots over 1 inch up to 2 inches where you see at least radar estimates in the pockets of yellow across Hart County and southwest areas of Grayson, even eastern side there of Nelson County. Good, healthy dose of some downpours. Louisville is very unique, as always the case. It's rare for us to get widespread rainfall unless you're dealing with a more what we call a stratiform type of rain. That's usually how we get the more evened out totals, but you get into thunderstorms and convection, then you end up with very stark differences in rain totals from one end of the county to the other. And last night's setup was no stranger to that, and really involved a thunderstorm that popped up over Okolona near Jefferson Mall, produced an outflow that went out in all directions. But at the same time, thunderstorms up into the I-71 corridor producing outflows coming in from Prospect. And then another outflow coming in from Clark County from the northwest that was moving in. Where they all met was key on where the next storms would pop. And sure enough, that ended up being right there where they all collided into the northeast, eastern side there of Jefferson County, Linden and J-Town area. That's where amounts over 2 inches were recorded with a heavy bout of rain. And because the boundaries were all intersecting here, there wasn't much of an intersecting going on in southwest Jefferson County, so your totals were much lower from Valley Station to PRP. So you're like, well, we didn't have much at all. I get that. And it was very loud and noisy in other parts of the county, but if you weren't where those boundaries collided, you really didn't get much in the way of rainfall either, because they act as mini cold fronts. They kind of scoop up the moisture, and they don't move very fast for a while. They kind of linger a bit and then move, and it's that lingering that adds in those rain totals. But again, we had some wind damage reported out of this. You see those rain totals too into Scott County, back into Lawrence County, really Indiana County in general. When that line first formed, you got some decent totals that dropped down. Okay, yeah, we had some reports of some tree limbs mainly being knocked down versus widespread tree damage. Again, severe limit on wind is 58 miles per hour. The highest gust I saw, I believe, was 37. There may be some spots that maybe a little bit higher. We'll see. Would you say, Eugene? A little less talk. We'll believe it when it happens. Don't get too excited. He hasn't ready to start his bots mantra yet. The 90s haven't called it a season yet. They'll be back. Okay. Well, I don't disagree with you, Eugene. I think it's. I don't think we're done with 90-degree temperatures, but bots fans, it's never out of season, Eugene. Never out of season. We always should cheer on bots fans. Got to get through the summer somehow. Prelude. A downburst the same as a microburst. Technically, yeah, I think you could. There's also a macroburst, which, not to get too into the weeds on this, but it really just depends on the setup as far as how tall the thunderstorm is and whether or not you have a boundary that's responsible for some of that, or it's actual thunderstorm itself collapsing. But the amount of damage we get in the summer season is from these type of winds more than they are from winds that are brought down from the higher levels of the atmosphere. You know, this is where the thunderstorm, it's really the amount of the air cooling, the rain itself becomes so overwhelming because rain is cooler up there, it falls down, it overwhelms the vacuum of the updraft that's trying to build that thunderstorm up. Eventually the updraft is first, it's the dominant one and builds up the cloud, but if there's not a tailpipe to it, then the cooling effect of the rain pouring down becomes overwhelming and overrides the updraft. So the thunderstorm weakens, almost disappears off the radar, but that's the moment. That's what we're looking out for as meteorologists. We look to see when the cell is weakening. As soon as we start to see it weaken, boom, we get ready. We know that wind's coming. And sometimes the radar doesn't even catch it in time. It happens so fast. But that was a classic setup to get that type of wind. Normally in severe weather season, though, we're talking about squall lines that have wind fields above that are pushed down to the ground. It's not so much a temperature issue on the cooling of rain. It's a wind field being tapped into. So there are two different ways to get damaging winds like that in the area. But very good question there. BOTS, ZK, BOTS stands for, if you're not familiar, bring on the snow. I haven't said it a lot, but you'll hear it a lot into the coming days. Get ready. It's coming our way. All right, so what about where we're staying in here today? Well, the flow today is a little different. We have two different directions here, a little more of a westerly flow aloft, but in the surface area of the atmosphere, it's more of a northerly flow. So what that's doing, it's undercutting two different layers of clouds that are dropping in from Indiana in a backwards fashion. So a low-level deck of clouds, if you are in Louisville especially, maybe even E-Town, you may be able to look to the north right now. Well, wait till the block's done. But you can look to the north and you can see the cloud deck lower to the ground that is moving in your direction. And so it is kind of drifting from the northeast. That will be our canopy today to allow for a mostly cloudy setup. Could even get a shower out of that. That's possible, especially on the leading edge of it, just because of the temperature difference. I think this is a spot to watch in our southern counties, perhaps, where you could get a quick downpour. Just because the cooler air versus the heating of the day may create just enough of a boundary to get maybe some downpours. Otherwise, I'm talking like sprinkles. Not a bad setup today. We'll stay in the 80s just because of the clouds, though. So a nice little break. We need that shield from the heat, right? Futurecast shows how we've got temperatures generally. I mean, it's underplaying it a little bit, going with only 80. I think we'll be a little warmer than 80, but not too far off from that, to be honest. But again, a few sprinkles, yeah, possible. Moisture levels continue to drop a bit more, but we're not done with the warming trend. We're actually going to try to increase the wind back up, or the temperature back up to around 90 as we close out the week and start the weekend. But it will come with lower humidity, so it'll be a different type of 90. It will not feel like it. There's even a chance the heat index could be lower than 90 instead of higher, which can happen if you have a lower humidity scenario. A little bit of a fog signal there. We'll see if that develops into areas of central Kentucky. That would be Friday morning. That's possible. A little too early to get into the weeds on that, but it's possible. Otherwise, again, don't bet on a lot of rain the next few days. We have two fronts coming our way as we into the weekend that will start to step down not only the humidity, but the temperatures even more. I'll cover that in just a second. Any questions on the short-term stuff? There's not a lot. You guys still talking about bots? Bots all the way. All right. Let's see. Oh, sorry, Jason. I didn't realize you were having a typo there. All right. Let's see. Do they have wind chills in the summer? No. Technically, to go by wind chill and heat index, wind chill is under 40 degrees and a heat index is over 80. So those are the two thresholds. If you don't match that limit, they don't display in our system, and we don't really talk about it because it's not as much of a factor on the human factor of why these indices exist to begin with, right? So that's the thresholds, 40 and 80. And that's why you don't see a wind chill listed, even though it could be a 55-degree day with light rain. But if the wind chill isn't below 40, it doesn't display. But boy, it will feel like 45, 46 to you when you step outside. It's still chilly, right? So we will unofficially say there's a wind chill outside. But technically, it does not display until under 40. I hope that makes sense. And as we've seen the past couple of winters, sometimes we display it when it gets below 10 below zero. Bryce, you think more fall-like weather will be settling in? Good question. We're going to cover that as we get into the long term here in just a second. Let me get into a real quick update on Aaron, just because we've been tracking it, since really its existence, so I don't want to give up on it here. There it is again, east of the United States. We'll cover that in a little more detail in a second. Two more waves out in the Atlantic, one in the central Atlantic area, one that came off the coast of Africa. These are the only two left that I see that we'll be tracking down the road, unless we get some type of homegrown activity into the Bay of Campeche, which there are some hints at times into September that may show up, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. These other two waves, the good news is the one in the central Atlantic is showing enough of a gap here between that and Aaron that we're thinking now that it will try to turn. So this may end up being a fish storm, which means it doesn't bother anybody other than shipping lanes into the Atlantic. And then the second one behind that, too early to make a call on it. We know it's going to be heading west, but when does it make that turn? Let's hope it gets stronger, faster than what is indicated, because that would only have a better odds of it turning out to sea. So we'll monitor those. It's gone a long way off. This is a very slow process. I'm sure you guys are aware. Here is Aaron's satellite, and again, the radar now in from the Carolinas near Myrtle Beach can now pick up the northwest side of where the rain is now within scope. And the eye is showing up, and that eye will get bigger into the coming days, but it's still on track to turn. But boy, look how large it is. So it's still throwing in, a lot of high surf in the area. Beaches are still too dangerous to get into for a lot of the Carolinas, and even winds at times will get to about 50 miles per hour for the Outer Banks. This will be on the western side of that eye wall itself. It gets a little closer to the coast before it turns and heads out to sea. So here are the stats. Cat 2. Winds right at an even 100 miles per hour. And again, kind of wobbling a bit, but is still forecast to continue to drift to the north today, and then eventually that turn to the northeast in reaction to our multiple cold fronts that are heading our way for the weekend and early next week to kind of guarantee that Aaron is going to turn and leave. So here, let's get right into the long term here for the weekend. Again, I'm displaying the blue to indicate 70-degree temperatures. Anything really below 80 is what the general zone will be in the blue shade. So you can see that's dropping down as we head into Sunday. Now, as far as the rain chance goes, two ways you get rain this weekend, very minor. Saturday, our southern counties, and that's mainly from any type of lift from the mountains, or at least the higher plateau areas around the Cumberland Plateau. You may get some showers there into Adair, Greene, and Taylor, maybe Marion. Not going to rule it out. It would be Saturday night if you were to see anything out of that. But it's likely going to be a little more southeast of you, but that's your best odds. And then for the rest of the area, Sunday night, and this is the main front moving in as into Sunday night, it will try to squeeze out just enough moisture that maybe a sprinkle could develop. I just don't see anything more than a sprinkle. And to be honest with you, a lot of that probably is not going to reach the ground. But it will step the temperature down. So Saturday is going to feel warmer than Sunday will. Sunday will be a step down, and then we really will feel the air as we get into Monday and Tuesday. And I think Wednesday morning right now may end up being the coolest. If we're going to see anybody drop down to about 48 or 49 degrees, which is possible, especially into Meade County, which you typically are the cooler spot in Kentucky, and then also into our Indiana counties. If you're going to do it, it will likely be Wednesday. This is also a breezy scenario. I'm telling you, you're going to get that fall itch so bad early next week, because you'll have sunny days, it's going to be breezy outside, and then the evenings, the temperature drop will be steady and fast all the way through sunset into the rest of the night. So you're going to feel the difference, and you're just going to think automatically, I need to get my Michael Myers inflatable, put them into my front yard to get ready for Halloween. That's what you're going to be thinking. Maybe some of you will be, not all of you. I probably will. But you can see the idea that this is a decent dome of high pressure here. So this is going to hold for, I would say, 5-6 days before it eventually will slowly leave us. This is looking to be a lock on keeping us dry all week, but a very beautiful week next week. I don't know if you guys have anything planned. If you have any chores you need to take care of, not that I'm trying to put you guys to work, but if you need to, say, take care of the deck or stain the deck or do any outdoor painting outside, a new roof, any type of outdoor work, next week is a great week to take care of that, because it's a dry setup and very comfortable outside. Now, that dome will eventually slide to the north and east. That will allow for a gradual warming trend. And then the question will be, as we get into Labor Day especially, is how quickly will we get some of the rain back into the area? It'll try to approach from the plains. There is a risk if this dome is slow to move out, it may scoot to the south and miss us altogether. Even if it does hit us, it could be enough to allow for what I referred to earlier as that stratiform rain, where you get those all-day light rain showers. So there could be some bonus days of cooler weather, but it would be rain-induced. Let's hope we get some good soaking rain like that, but that would be in the new month ahead. Don't see it happening in August. All right, let me get right to the 10-day, and then I'll wrap things up here. And you can see the trend still to push up, again, close to 90 as we get into Friday, maybe lower 90s because the air will be drying out as we evolve here into the weekend. And there's that drop in the 70s for highs and 50s at night for the city with a gradual warming trend. Any questions? Everyone's good? It's a pretty easy forecast, to be honest. And finally, we got a nice little change coming our way. This is nice to see. I'm glad that we're getting this kind of flip in the narrative. I think everyone's kind of sick of these days that are just nonstop. You know, heat index and so miserable you can't even get outside. Clark Kent, what did you do with Brian? Oh, you're funny. You're funny, Scott. Let's see. Cameron, when do you think, I'll take this as the last question, when do you think the last 90 will be? That's a good one. There is another hint of warming in mid-September. I'm not going to rule it out then, but I really want to stress, if we get into a drought, I think it's possible. If we stay out of the low-end drought status, we may very well be done, may very well. Because again, whether or not, you know, on the weather patterns, not using that in a casual sense, the sun angle is getting lower, so eventually you're going to get cooler. So to be able to get up to 90, the only time I've ever really seen it last as long as October was the severe drought in 2019. And that was mid-90s. Actually, we got close to 100 one of those days. So that was a very odd thing happened. It doesn't happen always. So, but the drought was the catalyst there. So as long as we stay away from that kind of a threat, which I think we will, then I think that we'll be able to transition fairly easily to fall this year, which is nice. All right, guys, I appreciate you all as always. I got to run. I will see you guys coming up, what time? Oh, yeah, midday, coming up in about 45 minutes from now. All right, take care. See you soon.